Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Curtis Witt again, and I'm here with Power Networker extraordinaire Robin Mansell, who's going to talk again. We're on week 3. Wow, we are moving right along. Secrets of Power Networking. And so, hi, Robin.
Hello, Curtis.
How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
Excellent. I'm looking forward to what you will teach us today. Um, so this is about week 3 is about building your network, which is really what it's all about. It's expanding the opportunities through the building of your network. Quick, we've gone through the introduction. Important things to remember, just as I talk about all the time. I've talked about the last couple of weeks. This is unorthodox. We are have the wonderful opportunity of tapping into Robin's, 30 plus years of entrepreneurship and building that career off of networking. And so it doesn't follow the script, if you would. This follows what she has been able to be successful in as foundational principles for her success. So, community rules, you know what the rules are as it relates to the community and what we do in terms of interactions, how to get help and support. Obviously, IM us or DM us, I should say, as well as you can ask questions within the group there. All right, with that, Robin, let's talk about networking events one on one. So we'll just start with a preamble from your perspective, because every time I literally, and I've said this several times, literally every time I talk to you, we schedule around, a couple of events that you may have for that day or several events that you may have for the week. So let's just talk about, your the importance of networking events in your repertoire, and then how do you choose the right events? How do you choose the right events?
So, choosing the right event sometimes takes a little practice. You may not know that a particular event or organization or chamber event, which are popular, is does not fit your criteria or your type of business. You won't know a lot of times until you start out. So you start going to events, seeing what kind of people are there. You can't always tell just by the name of it. So you're looking for events that have people that you could collaborate with. They don't have to be in the same industry, but there needs to be some type of a connection. And it really depends on um, who there's who's your ideal client, but who is connected to what might be your ideal client.
Yeah, I was going to ask about connections. When you say connections, does that mean tangential connections, two level, or what they call 2 degrees or 3 degree connections, or complementary services connections? I see, as an example, there are people who will connect with the the partners one to many. Like if you have an agency and you're connecting with another agency who then connects to all of your clients, they their clients become your clients, literally. Talk a little bit about connections and what you mean by that.
Okay, so in the solar business, particularly residential,
Mm-hmm.
an excellent connection is real estate agents
Mm-hmm.
or
Wow.
realtors.
Right.
Why is that? Because they deal with, what do they sell? Homes. Well, what do we put solar on? Homes. So who knows a lot of homeowners? Realtors or real estate agents. And so you're looking for who's connected or tied into your source of business. Um, there also could be, so you go down the levels. Realtors are like right up there.
Right.
Uh, Roofing people
Mm-hmm.
could be
Right.
there.
Right.
Go ahead.
Anybody that deals with the homeowner, electricians, plumbers,
Right.
all of those people could be collaborators with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, it's different when you go into commercial solar
Hmm.
because commercial solar is typically on a commercial business, and realtors don't sell commercial property.
Hmm.
That's typically a commercial broker, a commercial agent does that. So you can see how that fits for residential, but it doesn't fit for commercial. So in the commercial space, my best connectors would be commercial real estate companies,
Hmm.
um, but it would also be um, electricians, um, people that do B2B, business to business. Residential solar is B2C,
Right.
business to consumer. B2B. So I'm looking at people who are in the B2B space. That's the best connector. And again, depending upon the event, it depends whether or not. And you won't know until maybe gone once or twice. You won't know whether there's a fit there or not.
Right. So let's say that there is a fit. You've gone once or twice, and you've seen that, oh, this could be certainly my market, either directly or indirectly through connectors and collaborators. Uh, what have you done in your past or seen that was good preparation for the next time?
The good preparation is that you have your business cards, or nowadays they have a digital card also.
Hmm.
It is that you typically in these types of groups, you're going to have an opportunity you're going to have about 30 seconds to tell people who you are. So I would say it is to make sure that that
Elevator.
your elevator is, make sure it's on point,
Yeah.
make sure that it gives enough information that they're not confused, because if they're confused, they're not going to ask you anything. And you also might want to invest in shirts that have your slogan or your logo in there so that they see it. So they'll see it more if you do that.
Okay. Okay. And do you at all think about it from your collaborator and the end? I guess that would be the end customer, the receiver of the product. Do you think about it from their perspective and kind of prepare in terms of what they're needing? And the reason why I ask that is in our previous lesson, we talked about this is really about them.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so your preparation, I would imagine, could be or should be at least have a portion of it about them.
Yes. Know enough about that particular company. So um, we network in a number of industries,
Hmm.
and it's important that you know what that industry stands for,
Right.
because if you understand what they stand for, then you'll have a better idea of the people who are members or who participate in their meetings. So you do have to do some research on the company.
Uh huh.
That's going to help you know typically what type of people are there. And some of these organizations now have directories, so you can kind of see who are the members,
Right.
and that's going to help you. Like, for example, I've been to quote unquote what they call trade shows or expos, and I remember being at one, and 80% of the people had uh, clothing, jewelry, handmade. It was almost like a arts and crafts kind of
Okay. A
event.
bazaar, huh?
Yeah, that's a good term for it. And I'm not knocking that, but it totally was not my market. If the people that are coming there are looking for trinkets and you know, purses and things like that, that's not my market. Although somebody could argue and say, yeah, but they could be homeowners. Well, they could be, but that's not really low hanging fruit for me. That's me kind of, you know, shooting the dice
Right.
to see. And I like to be more targeted and more specific to what it is that I'm doing.
Okay. And so with that, in the targeting and being prepared, how do you approach and start your conversations? Like, what do you use as icebreakers in terms of your verbiage?
Literally, I don't. It's nothing about me. It is me coming up to them, and you typically people have on a name badge, and I just well, I introduce myself and then ask them to tell me more about your company, and let them have the stage first.
Okay.
And so that's how I start conversations all the time. Is I don't just go in there and start talking about what I do. I always ask them to tell me more about your business, and of course, people love that. So they start telling me, and then while they're doing that, I'm thinking, who do I know? How can I be of service to them?
Ah, so that leads right into, and we talked about this in a previous lesson around active listening and engagement.
Yeah, because in that 30-second pitch that typically that everyone's given at these networking events, this really doesn't tell you enough about them. So I take that opportunity to find out, to have them tell me, you know, and I let them go on and on and on, because it's not really, it really is not about me. I'm gathering enough information from that interaction that obviously they're going to give me a card. I'm going to know from that conversation whether I need to move forward with them also.
Right. Exactly. And what about after the event? Do you do any follow up?
We have an assistant that sends an email. Hasn't been a practice of mine, I'll be honest, and you know, there is fortune in the follow-up. Everybody talks about that. I do keep all of the cards, and typically what I do now is I'll send them an update about what's going on with our business, because we do have a monthly meeting, so I will include them in my monthly email and let them know what we have going on. So that's been the extent of my follow-up.
That's really good. And you know, to the extent that you can automate your follow up and offer something like you said, a value, like
Mm-hmm.
even if you had a personal newsletter that updated, you know, on what you were doing or the event, or a, if you would, in terms of like you guys, it's kind of interesting because you run, you know, the council, the Green Council
Mm-hmm.
for the area. It'd be interesting to have a follow up as a email that basically talked about what we talked about in terms of summary of
Mm-hmm.
the meeting, you know,
Yeah, you know, people have a short attention span right now. One of the things I've noticed is that,
microwavable.
yeah, they want to get to the information right away. So this is why this is so important, so that you're not wasting your time in areas that there really is no real true connection or collaboration,
Hmm.
because everything doesn't appeal to everyone, which is why it's so important to figure out your tribe, because if you can figure that part out, then you'll stop wasting a lot of your time.
Right, right. To the point where one of the best practices I've seen, Robin, is they use SMS and just say, here is, if you want a summary, here, just click this link. But it's real, like you said, I don't have time to read, you know, too long to read. So I don't
Hmm.
have time to read that. If I want to read it, I get the opportunity, but I can read that text that says, if you want a summary, click here. Boom.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about one of my favorites because networking would not be complete. I mean, Facebook is good and it is the number one. And for professionals who are really looking to do B2B, like you talked about, LinkedIn is a treasure trove. Um, so, we'll talk about optimizing, and you may have some thoughts on that, building your network through LinkedIn, engaging with creative content, etc. So let's just talk about if you have some thoughts around optimizing your profile.
So I would say with LinkedIn, I don't use it as much as I'm going to start using it. LinkedIn is great for B2B, and my profile has, obviously it should have a nice picture, it should have your information on it. I actually use a service with LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a lot of different services that you can use to help build out your network. I think LinkedIn is just like any other social media. You've got to put time into it, which is what I'm looking at doing right now because I've been using Facebook for 14 years. It just came up on my memory today, 14 years. And LinkedIn, because I am working more in the B2B industry, they've got some good things there. Just have to, just like anything else, you got to put the time in it.
Absolutely, you have to put the time into building your network, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that LinkedIn, and there are true experts out there, but the Sales Navigator piece around LinkedIn is very, very powerful as well.
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing, and I'm going to talk about engaging content creation. LinkedIn has now started to become very popular as a platform for people to put their articles in because it's getting ranked. Believe it or not, your articles are getting ranked as as keywords from LinkedIn. So you can post an article, your content, and it can show up on Google as opposed to just in your blog, which is really interesting, right?
Wow.
So I would imagine that you guys would be leveraging that or would probably look to leverage that through the notion of your renewable energy company.
Yeah, what I do like about LinkedIn is that you can put in keywords, and those keywords will take you right to the people who work in that space. It'll take you to articles. You'll see more of that with LinkedIn. When you put in the keywords, you put in the hashtags, you can go direct to the people you're looking for. We were recently looking for the directors of a co-op, electricity co-op, and was able to find them right away. And then, message them. Now you have to have, Sales Navigator, I think, in order to message people, or premium. They've got tools, but I would say that their tools cost, but they actually do work. They perform well.
Absolutely. They absolutely perform well. I know that there's, automation that we use, systems for LinkedIn that will extract your keywords, the people who you are looking for, and then there are other systems that allow you to extract that information and literally send emails and or DMs to those individuals. So yeah, and you just touched on some things as it relates to LinkedIn's groups and communities. And you guys, you sound like you guys really take advantage or try to take advantage of that.
Into their groups and their communities, and again, I'm kind of a rookie with LinkedIn, but I definitely see the value of it. I've used one of the, I think it's a third party that I used at one time, and I was very impressed with the connections that were made. It it also seems like a lot of the it seems like a lot of the people who are on LinkedIn, the CEOs, they're more receptive to speaking to you. I will
Hmm.
say that. I've also found that they seem to be open to have a conversation too.
Ah, interesting. So almost like the higher, the C-suite
Exactly.
individuals uh, are more accessible
Yes.
on this professional networking platform.
Yep. Yep. No, I definitely can see the difference, and I don't know that it would be for depending upon the business you have, but definitely if you're B2B, it's definitely the place that you want to be. Really, B2B. You definitely need to take a deeper dive into LinkedIn.
Excellent, excellent. All right. So strategies for this is me. So what are your strategies for introverts? So people who let's just make sure that we are saying the same thing. Make sure that people understand that introverts don't necessarily mean shy. It really means where you get energy.
Mm.
About energy. Who do I get energy from? You can have an introverted individual who don't want to go to the party, but when they get to the party, they're the life of the party. And then when the party's over, they're like, "Oh gosh, I'm glad that's over." Holy moly! So, so there may be, and you dealt with introverts, you know, quite a bit. So let's not just talk about introverts, but let's just talk about like number one says embracing your introversion. Uh,
Mhm.
really embracing whoever you are, introvert, extrovert, outrovert, Martianvert. It doesn't matter. Talk about just embracing yourself.
It's interesting because my zodiac sign, we're like both. Everybody thinks I'm an extrovert,
Hmm.
but really, there's a huge part of me that's an introvert that really doesn't want to be bothered.
Right.
Um,
Me,
but
myself, and I. Me, myself, and I are okay.
yeah, yeah, I do it. I can get into that zone and I do it, especially for transactional. So I'm more of a extrovert for transactional. Huh. Yeah, but I'm an introvert for if that's not involved,
Right.
if it's not a transaction. So anyway, I think the beauty of social media right now and all these sources and networking things we're talking about is that you don't have to. Nobody. I mean, you're behind your computer.
Right.
It's a perfect place for people who are introverts because that doesn't mean you don't have something to say. That doesn't mean you don't feel a certain way about something. You just would prefer to not be in the crowd.
Right.
So what better way to do your business than using social media? Um, or even if you do go out to networking events, um, choose something that's a little bit smaller, where maybe you choose something that's more in a lecture style.
Hmm.
Because sometimes networking events are that. They have guest speakers, so you don't really have to talk to anybody. You just are there and you can kind of be aware of what's going on and then pick and choose who you want to connect with.
Ah, yeah. So smaller quality interactions, basically.
Yeah, because sometimes I go to these events and they go, okay, we're going to play a game. And I'm like, where's the door? Because I got to get out of here. I don't like playing games. I don't want to be that's just me. I really don't want to do that.
Right. Right.
So depending upon the type of event you're going to, like when I went to UCR and it was more of a lecture style, of course, university lecture, panels, things like that, where you didn't really have to interact with people that much unless they were sitting at your table.
Exactly. So let's say you've gone to an event, you've had your interactions, and you're on full. I mean, you're at the 10 as it relates to your social battery.
Hmm.
What do you do for self-care and recharging?
I make sure that I have my self, my time or my space time uh, for self-reflection. I don't like to take calls actually before 9 a.m.
Mhm.
So I have to be able to have that time to whether it be exercise, walking, just sitting, having a cup of coffee. I don't like that time interrupted. So I need that silence. And some people it's reading a book, some people it's meditating. I just like the silence because it's like I have to charge. I feel like I have to charge my battery to be prepared for the day. And then I cut it off at a certain time also. So it's really important that you figure out what is that look like to you. What's that look like?
And so do you with that because I know I will call sometimes and kind of check in and you're walking and I think consistency because you're consistent in your routine as it
Mhm.
relates to self-care and recharging.
Yeah,
Can you
I'm consistent. I'm just not rigid.
okay?
I'm very consistent. I'm consistent in that um, I know these are the things. I think how do they say it? Everything in moderation. So I am consistent. I'm just not rigid. You know how some people are like, no, no, no. I'm up at 5 and I go here. I give myself the rest that it needs, but I also am not so rigid about it that because I think that causes anxiety for me. I don't know, maybe other people it doesn't. I like to have a little wiggle room in there because that means I can be flexible.
Right.
If something happens that doesn't fit into my schedule or into my space. And so I am pretty regular with that, like with and consistent, but I'm okay if it's been raining a lot out here and I'm looking out the window and going, oh, I'm not going out there today. I'm
Right.
okay with that.
Right. Without having the anxiety and
No.
and you I don't know who we're talking to here other than, power networkers, but you just set somebody free
Hmm.
because, that what you basically said is, hey, give yourself a break. You don't have to have that type of rigidity in
Hmm.
your life. You can
Yeah.
be flexible
Yeah.
and, you know, and look at me. I'm flexible and I'm successful at what I do.
Yeah.
You can be
Yeah.
flexible as well. You have a choice. That let me put it like that. You can be rigid if you choose to, but you can also be flexible.
Hmm. You
You
can.
have choice in
Right.
the matter, and I think
Yeah.
that's important.
Hmm.
Excellent. All right. Enough about introverts. Let's go on to creating the networking plan. Robin, do you create plans? Do you have at least written plans, or do you just, have a direction? I know, what my objectives are. I kind of know who I want to contact, etc. How do you handle, you know,
So I have,
structure?
yeah, I kind of journal. I do write things down.
Mm,
I'll write down objectives for the quarter, each quarter to know what it is we're doing because we're in a commission type business. So I will write down what our expectations are, where we are, how close we are to that point. I'll take a look at that. I will also look at who who did we talk to, or who is should we be talking to? Build things a lot around a network to see, to have conversations with people, because if you have conversations with them, typically something will come up that could lead to business. Massaging the network, I guess is what you'd call it, kind of massage what we have going on. I know where I'm going to be. So when you talk about like calendar and scheduling, I know where I'm going to be, what I have planned, and I don't do it so far in advance that, because somebody said, hey, what are you doing on the 8th? And I'm like, I have no idea. Not right now. I don't know. But it's, I have a pretty clear idea of where, especially in the next 2 weeks, where I am and where I need to be, because a lot of my time is spent networking, presentation. So I'm really good on the time management side. I know what my day is going to look like, and then when I have an open day where I don't have a whole lot going on, that's my time to like follow up, check, what did we do, what did we do last week, what do we have coming up in the future. So calendar and scheduling is important to me. I like to know where I'm supposed to be. I like to know that part, my calendar and scheduling, is right there in my phone. I have to know where I'm supposed to be, where I'm going, why am I going. Yeah, I operate really well off of my calendar and my scheduling. Now, with that being said, I don't use a calendar link like a lot of people do. For some reason, that feels like pressure to me. I don't know. You cannot. No, I'm not giving you my calendar. That's just me, I guess. I am not giving you my calendar, because I feel like too many people would just get on my calendar for no reason.
Right.
So I don't have a calendar link. No way.
So from an adaptability standpoint, the last point, I would just offer that one of our mutual friends, what he does is he has that same outlook. Look, I don't want people all over my calendar, because I would be, I'd have 60 meetings for the week, if people were all. So what he does is he says, I'm open Tuesday and Thursday from this time to this time, and so I know that I'm going to have 4 appointments, and that's it for the week. The rest of my calendar is completely blocked off for me and what I need to do, because most of the time people aren't, their intentions are not aligned so much with your intentions, and so he does have his calendar, but it's for a specific time, that you can get on that calendar.
Okay, I kind of like that. Like, for example, what happens sometimes is, because we have to present to clients, we have to go by their schedule. Because sometimes it's a church or they have a board, and so I have to be, but I guess I could always just do it that way. But that's something to think about. I'll definitely take that into consideration. Yeah, I'll take it into consideration. I could see how that could possibly work, but I'm open to suggestions for things like that.
And that, I want to first, I want to commend you. That is absolutely wonderful. And I want to also bring to our audience attention that your flexibility, it is admirable in the sense of, yes, you have, years and years of experience, and yes, you are bringing what the power networking, yet at the same time, you're willing to look at it and go, oh, if this can help.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes you just don't think of it that way. You're operating like everybody can't. Probably the way I operate is not duplicatable. It probably isn't. But I think that, and I was just thinking about this today because, on social media, everybody's an expert. Everybody tells you what your life is supposed to look like, what your love life is supposed to look like, what your everything. Everything is supposed to look a certain way. And I was just thinking, well, what would life be what would it be like for people if they created something that worked for them?
Right.
Why is that frowned upon? I have to do it like you? I have to do it like you.
Exactly.
I don't want to do it like you. And so I think, that's where the opinions come in so much about people's life. I don't know that people even know what they want their life to look like anymore because everybody's telling them what it should look like. So do you even have a moment to figure out what makes you happy?
Right.
I had a woman say to me the other day, I said, oh, I was so busy. It's a friend. I said, oh, I was so busy. I get a chance to talk. My Thursday was just swamped. And she said, well, I hope you're making money.
Huh.
Why was that the only thing you could, why, I don't know, that didn't sit well with me. I felt like, what if I was just busy having a good time?
Right. Exactly.
Is that the only reason I need to be busy? Is I gotta be making money like 24/7?
Right. Exactly. Now that was interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I like my life. But what I like about it is I like what's going on inside with me. That's what I like about it. And so it's an interesting conversation to have, very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Final one. Actually, we have one more
Okay.
after this one. Effective follow up. Now you talked about you did talk about your assistant doing the follow up, but
Yes.
just I mean timely follow up, personalizing it, and building long term relationships as it relates to that. One of the things that I do appreciate is how over time you have built these relationships that have stood the test of time, and people may come back 5 years later and say, hey, you do that, I know somebody who does X. Talk a little bit about long-term relationships and the effectiveness in a network marketing, power networking situation of the follow-up.
So your follow up, okay, so you're not going to necessarily do business with everybody. I have a stack of business cards, and I think most people have probably 700 names in their phone. You're not always going to do business with these same people all the time. Everything has its place and has its time, and so sometimes that follow-up, nothing happens. Like, absolutely nothing happens. But then, like you said, a year down the road, something different may change in what you're doing, and then there's an open, opportunity for you to have a conversation with someone, right?
Right.
So it's not like it's just like friends. I mean, I think we all have some friends who might not talk for a whole year. But when you talk, it's just like you spoke yesterday. Like you don't have a rule that, oh, I have to talk to you at once a month, or that there's a clear understanding. The initial relationship that was built from the beginning is established, but you know that you may not be doing business with them it may be down the road. So
Right.
you can follow up. Like I said, I sent out an update. Here's what's going on with Green Energy Solutions. Here's what's growing. I just let them know. Here's what's going on with us. I don't know if I would do a news. You brought up like a newsletter. There's so many things in people's life that you literally have to have the time to read those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's something called, what's that thing called, Curtis? I think they call it the minute news, because you can read it all in 5 minutes. I forget. I get it. It's kind of a newsletter, but you can read it in 5 minutes.
5:15.
Yeah, and you've got to think about if a person is getting 5 or 6 of those. Do you really have time to sit and read those particular things? Now, again, I'm not saying you really have to, again, going back to the word prioritize, you really have to prioritize, because we only have so many hours in a day.
Right.
So it can be a good idea to once a month maybe just send out, hey, here's what's going on with us, just wanted to stay in contact with you. Kind of sporadically to look at your emails. Like, I go through my emails. I'll take like an hour or 2 hours sometimes, not every day, but maybe once a week, to really thoroughly go through my emails, because sometimes you're just answering them quickly. And you could do the same thing with your text messages. You might be surprised what follow-up you missed, because it's kind of coming at us at a fast speed, right? So take that day and then, go through it and see, hey, is there something I missed? Just wanted to have this conversation with you again. Let them know what you're doing and how maybe what you're doing could add value. I literally just sent this to a gentleman who I met at SoFi Stadium, who is a retired NFL player.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what will come up from it, but I said, hey, I met you at this event, and I know you're with the Retired Players Association, and I'd really like to talk to you about collaboration, because from what I see, the NFL is interested in sustainability and going green, so like to have that conversation. Now, I emailed him, but I'll give him time. I may not follow up on that for maybe a week or 2. Because you got to give people time. Their lives are just so crazy that you really have to put the intention out. And in that email, I talked to him about the value that I could add in us having this conversation. And yeah.
Absolutely. And that brings you talked about the notion of having a newsletter. And I want to make sure that at least I'm clear on, from if you have a newsletter and you're sending the newsletter out,
Mm-hmm.
It is to add tons of value about that subject, i.e., in your case, it would be renewable energy,
Mm-hmm.
to the recipient who is receptive and needs tons of value about that. So my newsletter, not only if I'm in that, my newsletter in that industry is about things like, did you know that the state of California is giving away all sorts of money in order to do this? You guys are doing it with parishes and churches and
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit organizations. If they have, a lot of people don't know that information.
Right.
It's that type of insight that I was really, focused in on.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. Some people don't know what they don't know. I think you and I talked about that too. They don't know what they don't know. They don't even know how it can benefit them. And some people are very closed off to new information also.
Right.
So that's why I say this is a whole process of figuring out. I guess the word tribe would be a good thing to do, because you're really, like, for example, we had a meeting last night, and the people that came said they're coming to get an awareness of what's going on. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know about the things we're talking about. And so they think they should know, which is the first step, is being open enough to say, I think I should know about this.
Right.
For everyone that's saying, I think I should know about this, trust me, there's about 5 that's saying, I don't care. But they don't even know what they don't care about because they haven't been open enough to hear how we could. And that's why I was so impressed with the people that come, because they're saying, I know there's something here. I don't know what it is, but I'm willing to learn. That's
Wow.
how you start building your tribe. And when you build that tribe the right way, oh my gosh, it is so, so powerful. But don't, don't try to ram it down their throat. Just be every now and then, just drop some nuggets. It's like I do on my social media page. I don't ring the bell loudly and all the time, but I do it enough that people say, hey, Robin, tell me about that. But you got to do it. You got to do it. And that's why I tell you, most people, the things that you and I are talking about, they don't do it. They probably don't even do a fourth of what we're talking about. So, which is why we're doing this course.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And finally, which is one of the pieces that I absolutely love is mentoring, mentorships, and sponsorships. What do you, because you mentor quite a few people, even informally. It's not necessarily formally, but what's your thoughts about mentoring and sponsorships?
So, um, sometimes you don't even know what you're doing as mentorship, because for me, it's always been about sharing information and supporting people, adding value, building relationships. It's all built into that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always actively listening and supporting to find out what their needs are. I'm going to get what I need out of that, but only I feel only if I take the lead in hearing them out first.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you figure out where they go, like what slot should they go in. Because guarantee you, most of the time you're going to be able to support and help the people that actually really, really, really need it, if you're listening. And then you'll be able to find out, okay, is this mentorship? Is this mentorship is really guiding.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I want to help you avoid the potholes that I fell in 5 or 6 times, and I want to help you avoid stepping on one of those, what do they call them in the military? The step on one of the
Landmines.
yeah. I want to guide you to success, and I want to tell you things that will help you grow and will help you avoid pitfalls that I already did. So mentorship can be in doing just that. Sponsorship's a little different. I don't even know if they fall within the same category.
Right.
Yeah, but sometimes it does turn into sponsorship. But my favorite, I would say, would be the mentorship. Right. Because that's like giving somebody the blueprint.
And you mentioned sponsorship, and the interesting thing is, if we take the moniker of quote unquote sponsorship off, and just look at the action of sponsorship, which is really advocating for others on their behalf, or putting yourself out there to advocate because you probably have mentored this person. You sponsor the person.
Well, and the building mutual beneficial relationships is my favorite part of this, because because the word mutual,
Mm-hmm.
beneficial, and relationships, my favorite words, mutually, relationships, because those, if you build that correctly, those people will always be there for you. You might not talk to them. It could have been, like I said before, years, but they will be there for you because of the relationship. Now, 100% if it's mutual, but then there are people that, yeah, they don't even have to. A lot of times I'll make connections with somebody. I'm not getting anything out of that other than what I've heard from them is the value they see of me. I didn't gain anything other than in their eyes, if that makes sense. There's
Right.
nothing that I got. But to them, they hold me at a higher esteem.
Right.
And who knows when that will come in and play. It's because you just have people that are saying, hey, I respect Robin, so if you need something, then she's probably the person that you want to go to. You can cash a lot of checks on that.
Right. Absolutely, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So let me ask you something. If I was to do something this week, what would I try? What would you offer? What would you say? Okay, go do it. All of the things that we talked about: follow up, effective follow up, creating a plan, networking for introverts. Where obviously everybody's not an introvert on here, but those who are, leveraging LinkedIn. You may optimize your profile, or create some content. Go to an event. Maybe having, choosing the right event and
Mm-hmm.
start making preparation. What would you challenge someone to do this week?
Go to an event.
Go to an event. Why is that?
Go to an event, and this time you're there for a different reason.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
This is going to be good.
You're going to be at an event, and you're paying attention to the people that are there. You're not even there to look for business. You're there to see how you can bring value to somebody that's there. So you're not thinking about yourself. I want you to go, and I want you to think about, I want you to really listen to what people are saying, and I want you to see how you can be of service to somebody there. And it could be based on a number of the things we talked about. It could be you saying, oh, I know somebody that can help you with this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. You're not looking for even a mutually benefit. You're looking to just show your value. You're going to just show your value.
Just show your value.
Yeah, show your value. And then pay attention to what was actually going on there. And then that way you're going to be able to know, okay, is this an event? That's why a lot of these events will let you come the first 2 times for free. Or because they know that you need to see whether or not they're a fit for you. And I have gone to events and said, oh, I'm never going back there.
Right.
Because it's not my tribe. It's not
a fit.
Yeah, and it's important that you do that. And why is that important? Because, see, all of this comes together. It is important because you don't have a lot of time to waste.
Right.
So you're intentionally, so I want you to go network with the intention of finding your tribe. You get one step closer to it. You may go and it's really not, but even if it's not, you gave something to put your name on the map to those people, which could lead you to something else.
Beautiful. Okay. All right. Well, team, you have your weekly assignment from the master networker herself, Robin Mansell. Robin, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the 3rd week. We look forward to the 4th week. Anything else you want to talk about to wrap this up?
No, just make sure you collect some business cards while you're there, and make sure you have yours with you too. Make sure you're intentional with that.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you, Robin. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we shall talk to you next week.
See you next week.
All right. Bye now.